Hello everyone, welcome back to DevOps and Cloud with Arya. So previously we already learned about the ingress in the Kubernetes. So using the ingress, actually you can set a domain or even like setting up the criteria whenever there is a request coming to your cluster, then to which service or backend that you want to that request will be like forwarded. So using that is actually you can publish your a website or even like a database or anything to outside of the cluster. Now we will talk about another thing that also interesting. So the case of this is, let's say we want to do the grouping of the uh, object in the Kubernetes. Let's say the deployment and then the service or anything. So in this case it should actually it is like very useful if we are talking about the multi environment development. So let's say we are having the dev on the cluster, and then we have the staging, and then the last is we have the production. So the thing is, in the Kubernetes we cannot have same name for the object inside the cluster if we are using default configuration. But if we are using the namespace, so this is the solution actually. So we can make a multiple namespace instead of our Kubernetes cluster. So let me show you what is the namespace and how we can get a useful of that. So instead of the default namespace, we can use like customize namespace. Okay, so let's start with this one. By default, when we check the namespace, there are already several namespace that active in our cluster. So by default, it will be like having the default and then having the ingress nginx if we install that, and then there is like kube node list, public, and system. So when I do the kubectl get pods, actually it will like querying from the default namespace instead of the other. So if I want to change that, so what I can put is like namespace and then the name of the namespace itself. So let's say it is like cube system, something like this. See, so the pods actually will be different. It is also same if you want to check the service or the deployment. So see, there is like kube DNS service in the namespace kube system. But then if we change that to default, see, it will show us another thing. So it is like the thing that uh, actually created under that namespace. So using this, actually, we can have like multiple object with the same name, but still across the namespace. Let's check the deployment. See, something like this. So if you want to create like another thing here, okay, or even like service, okay, kubectl get service, and then we want to create another one called the nginx2 load balancer here. Okay, see, it will be like getting rejected. See, nginx2 load balancer is already exists because we already have like this object created under the default namespace and it's already there, so we cannot do that. But now we can try to create a new namespace. Let's say the dev. So the namespace dev now is created, and let's check what is the service that there in the dev. So get service, the namespace is dev, and it's nothing. Okay, this one. So what we can do here is during the creation of this, we can put the namespace is dev. Okay, let's change the port to 8081 or 8082, something like this. And now the service is exposed. So when we check kubectl get service, we won't see the 8082 port in the list of service from the default namespace because it is not there. But we can check namespace for dev. Wait a moment. Sorry, that name, this one is incorrect. Namespace. Okay, let's change this. Oh, okay. See, it is failed because there is no like deployment for the dev. Okay, but okay, then let's create the deployment first. Nginx2 kubectl apply -f deployment.yml, and then namespace is dev. Oh, wait a moment. Deployment. I think we can change default from this directly. So instead of that, see, this one is the namespace default. We can change that to the dev. And let's create again. So now when we check kubectl get deployment and the namespace is dev, we can see a one record here. So now we will also able to create the service, okay, because in the service we need to specify the deployment, right? And the deployment nginx app, and the name is nginx.balancer2. Namespace is dev, is now created. So when we check again, deployment is there, and then the service, let's see, also there. So now we already have like the deployment called the nginx app and also service called nginx2 load balancer, which is already present in the another namespace, but we can do that. So using that case, using that method, actually we can have like multiple entries for the application that we develop. Let's say we have the front end, we have the back end, and then we have the database, but they are like working as expected, and we have like multiple instance of that, but still in the different namespace. So whenever we want to do the development or even like the testing, then we can like only choose the namespace itself. So another way is actually if we want to choose the namespace instead of like passing the parameter of the namespace for each comment, then we can set the namespace for the comment that we want to execute later. We can use kubectl config set context for the current context, okay, and then the namespace is dev. Okay, so now when we do the kubectl get deployment, it is like already in the dev is instead. And also when we do the pod, see, and then for the kubectl service, it is already in the dev. Okay, so it's great. Now the another thing that we also can do actually to make our life easier is actually to make the something called label. So basically label is like you are putting some value to your object, so whenever like you want to filter that out, then you can specify the label itself. So what you can do is in the deployment, for example, see this one, see there is like labels here. It's called the nginx app. Okay, but then let's change this one to dev. Okay, kubectl apply deployment. Okay, now it's configured. Then now I will create another deployment. See, the label will be like backup or something like that, and the name is backup or something like that. Okay, kubectl, apply again. Okay, let's check first. Sorry, let's change this to Nginx app backup instead. No, it's still not invalid. So let's check invalid for let's check which one is I need to change. Should be good. This one backup is mistype here. Now the deployment is created. So whenever we do the kubectl get deployment, now there are two, but then let's say we want to only select one of them. So we can do something like this, is app, something like this, see? So we can do the filtering, like let's say what, Nginx app. No, nothing from Nginx app, then backup, see? So there is one like this. So the only deployment that having a label app is the Nginx backup is only one. So we can also check for the another deployment. See, let's check for the labels. It's app dev. So when we filter by this, it's only dev. So it's like different. See? So now we already learned about the namespace to grouping the resource, okay, for certain environment. For that case, for the example, or even in the namespace itself, you also like can put the label, so you can have the filtering for your object inside the namespace for the easier way. So you don't need like to check the description for each object. So you just need to put your label in the comment so you can get the correct filter of the object itself. Okay, so that's all for this video. If you find that this video is useful and you find that this channel is interesting, don't forget to subscribe and share this video in your social media. See you in the next video.